Hello, everybody, and welcome to a little bit of a different type of video here on the channel. Today, I'm going to be going behind the scenes into how I evaluate a new set, looking at the new cards for Time Spiral Remastered as an example. So in this video, I'm going to be looking at the cards for the first time. I've seen some of these cards before, but never really evaluated in the context of the set. And so I'm just going to be kind of going step by step through looking at a new set, what things you can do, kind of showing by example. So like if you ever wondered how I kind of get the information for my draft guides that I post for a new set or things like that, this is kind of how I do it. Normally when a new set comes out, I do all this stuff behind the scenes. I don't really make videos on it because I want to make sure all of the stuff I'm making in preview season is as valuable as possible and as concise and as well planned out. But since Time Spiral Remastered is a bit of a more supplemental set where a lot of people aren't going to be drafting a lot, I figured it could be a good jumping off point where I could kind of show some of this stuff that I don't normally show off. So in today's video, I'm going to be going behind the scenes a little bit on how I evaluate the cards, the set as a whole, whether or not, like, what are my overall thoughts on the cards. If you do enjoy this sort of thing, remember to hit that thumbs up button, comment with your questions or thoughts, or whether you like to see more of this type of video in the future. And of course, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and click that bell so you get notified when I post future videos. Check out the Patreon to support me and all that good stuff. So what I like to do first of all is I like to sort by the commons first. The commons are always a really good indicator of what the set's going to be like, how good the removal is, what the overall set feel is going to be. And so a lot of the time I just like to scroll through, read some of the cards. I actually haven't looked at these cards yet, but one of the things that I'll tell you right off the bat that I'm looking for is good removal spells, because those are almost always key commons. And then I'm also looking for cards that when they're cast against me, I'm going to feel like, oh no, because that's kind of a good indicator for a card. So that's one of the reasons why I evaluated Cersei's Packmate, Behold the Multiverse, those sorts of cards very highly, because I knew that every time my opponent cast against me, I was going to feel like, oh my gosh, I'm so far behind, because that's just like that's like a nice way to indication of power level a lot of the time at common. I generally don't look at the rares when I'm doing set preparation other than to just read them over once, get a brief opinion on some of them, because that's just generally not as helpful. So here, looking things out, Amaru Scout, 2-drops. 2-drops is another thing you want to look at. How many good 2-drops a color has will often be determinant of how aggro it is. So you can search your library for a Rebel with 3 or less, put it onto the battlefield and shove your library. This is the sort of card that could definitely scale out of hand. One thing I also like to do when I'm coming up with when I'm going through the cards, I go through the top commons, and you do that framework when I'm reading through the cards for the first time. And so Amaru Scout seems like it could be a top common for white. So I go white, Amaru Scout, and then once something looks better than Amaru Scout, I'll put it above it, and once something looks worse than it, I'll put it below. So this is a 3-mana 2/2 that can't be blocked very easily. That's pretty good, but again, a 3-drop that's only a 2/2 isn't very good on defense, so I don't think it can crack into the top commons really. It does go well with the Amaru Scout. Aven Riftwatcher, I've seen this card before. It does stick around on the battlefield for quite a while. 3 turns is no joke. Entering the battlefield and gaining 2 life is also fine. But generally, I don't like it still because in some decks, more controlling ones, even though the life gain might scream control, like a control deck, the fact that it goes away on its own makes it much less powerful if you're not attacking. So it's probably decent in aggressive decks, but I'm not going to really be prioritizing it. Or by decent, I mean you could sometimes play it, but I don't love it. Ooh, they're bringing back tribal enchantments, so I'll get to that in a second, I guess. So Benalish Cavalry. Wow, yeah, that seems good. I'm going to put that on the list for now. I think it's probably, right now, I think it's probably better than Amaru Scout. It's just so hard to block this. It's like a 2-mana 2/2 that's very difficult to block, so I'm going to put that above the Amaru Scout for now. Benalish. So we're going to put that above there for now. But as we see more of the Rebels synergies, we can maybe move it back up. But I just these sorts of things are just good indicators of white. White has 2 good 2-drops already. We're seeing another 2-drop here, 3/1. But just look, Benalish Cavalry can't be blocked by either of the other white 2-drops that we've looked at. It can't be blocked by Amaru Seekers. It's just going to be tough to deal with. Bound in Silence is pretty typical white removal. That's oftentimes going to be number 1. Not necessarily because it's higher power level, but Also, we just had Bound in Gold, and now we see Bound in Silence. That's kind of funny. Not necessarily because it's higher power level, per se, but because it's more rare. So white's going to have, like, if you don't get your Amru Scout or your Benalish Cavalry, you can play a Blade of the Sixth Pride, or maybe, like, there's 3 of them. So you're going to be able to get more often this sort of effect, but Bound in Silence, there's not, like, a 4-mana version that's slightly worse and a 2-mana version that's slightly different. It's like there's usually only one of those, which makes it in demand. Castle Raptors, so 5-mana potential 3/5 flyer. That's a good card, especially for being defensive. A 3/5 is a good blocker. One of the weaknesses of flyers is that they don't block very well. Yeah, Scout Fetch Mount. I realized that. That's one of the things that I was like, oh, Tribal Enchantment. That's cool. So that's a cool little synergy, of course. But Castle Raptors, one of the cool things that I like about that is that normally flyers are worse at blocking because when you're blocking, you don't care about flying, so you just care about the stats, and flyers are generally smaller stats, but the +0/+2 is kind of helpful for that. But it's not going to be a top common generally, because being a top common as a 5-drop is really difficult. Cards that come to mind immediately for that are like Chillbringer from Guilds of Ravnica. No, it was from Ravnica Allegiance. Chillbringer, yeah. For the Ravnica Allegiance, Chillbringer was like a 5-drop that was a top blue common because like tapping the opponent's creature was just a really good thing. But this card's probably just a decent card. And a 3/3 flyer is decent for aggro decks too. Children of Corliss is just pretty much unplayable, I think. Just a 1-mana 1/1 with a menial ability. Errant Doomsayers. That's a medium card, I'd say. Like 2 or less. Not super, like, doesn't deal with a lot of stuff you care, but you don't have to pay for it. But it's a 2-mana 1/1. I don't know, not a huge fan of that card. Fortify, massive pump spell. Always good to recognize these. Yeah, but they're not super huge priority. Generally, they kind of, a lot of the time they underperform because this one in particular, you only get the +2/+0. You're never really doing +0/+2. I don't know. But yeah, so far these are the top 3 commons I've got. Ivory Giant, it's just really expensive. Suspend is helpful, but Suspend 5 is super expensive, and 7 mana to cast the other half is a little bit of a yikes. So I don't foresee myself playing this card very often. It's also, they know it's coming, so they'll just keep all of their like white creatures back if they are a white deck, and it's hard to be on advantageous footing a lot of the time. Judge Unworthy. Wow. That's a tough card to evaluate. I don't love it because you don't really know what you're getting beforehand. Probably going to be one of those like trap cards that looks okay, but it ends up being quite bad because like you never know when you're going to have a top card be a like uncommon. Oh my gosh, Mana Tithe is that common in this set? That's absurd. Definitely one to keep in mind. People are going to play this card all the time. So like cards to keep in mind when you're like going through the set. Mana Tithe. Like, that's going to get people a lot of the time. You've had the Judge be pretty strong. Yeah, I feel like it's going to be tough. Because you're going to want to be able to use it to kill something bigger, and then you're not going to hit something good. Sliver creatures have Absorb. Oh my gosh, that's irritating. Gosh, that's a weird mechanic. But yeah, Magistratorian, imagine you have like your opponent attacks you, but basically for those who can't see the chat, basically they're saying that they like Judge a little bit more than I do. The problem is they attack you with a 3/3 and you want to cast Judge Unworthy on it, but sometimes you just have like a couple of like lands and a cheap card and your Judge Unworthy does nothing. And the games where Judge Unworthy doesn't kill their 3/3, you lose pretty much because you spent 2 mana and did nothing. And it's just not, you can't put that sort of card in your deck if it can't guarantee to kill a 3/3. Because sometimes you just hit 2 lands and a 2-drop or something. That happens. Or 2 2-drops in a land or something. Like, sure, the ceiling is you kill their, like, are you even going to risk it for like a 4 toughness creature? Like, it's just so bad the games that you lose where you cast this card and it does nothing. It's just horrifically unplayably bad. Knight of Cersei, Flying, flanking. Wow, there's a lot of mechanics. Flanking is the one that makes it hard for them to block. That's less relevant on a flyer. And it's suspend. Not a huge fan of this card. When you play a 4-drop, you want it to be able to stabilize you a lot of the time. Yeah. I don't love this card. It's just too expensive. This card's going to get a lot of people. I'm going to say it. Mana Tithe, be aware. That's why I put it on the card to keep in mind list. It's not like the same thing with a combat trick. With this card, they're going to hold up a white mana, and you're going to play into it when you could have played your land first or something stupid, and it's going to feel real bad. Momentary Blink, definitely a weird card, but there can be some potential. Pallid, Mycoderm. I'm not going as deep on the cards because when I'm reading them, I'm just mostly looking for first impressions and thinking about top commons. So currently I have like Bound in Silence, Benalish Cavalry, Amaru Scout. I guess I should be keeping track of how many rebels there are, but so far we haven't seen a ton of them. Like all of them were kind of early on in the process. Spore counters. Jeez Louise. 4 mana 2/4. That's probably medium. So, like, when you're looking for top commons, one thing you want to look for is, am I afraid of this card? And if my opponent plays 2 copies of this card in a row, I'm not going to worry about it. Also, as you go up the curve, things get very... It's harder to make me worry about a card. I'm just going to say that. Looking for my water bottle, but it's probably downstairs or something. Shade of Trocaire, +1/+1. Yeah, this is another card that's not very good. It's so expensive. You can't block with it on the turn you play it. White does not look very good at blocking in the set. Knight of Cersei. Like, the 4-drops just don't block very well. A 4 mana 2/4 is not even a great blocker. Yeah, this is not a great card. It looks like... Yeah, I was going to say it looks better than it is, but it doesn't even look particularly good because it's a 4 mana 1/2. Yeah. Sunlands. Ooh, that's a good one. That could bump off one of these cards. I'm going to put Sunlands at number 2 right now. 1 mana deal 3 to a non-white creature. Even a white-red deck is going to have non-white creatures, and 1 mana deal 3 is real good. That could actually be better than Bound in Silence. Sunlands. I like it. My natural inclination is to look from right to left for some reason on these cards a lot of the time. But 1 mana deal 3, it just kills so many things. Even though it is a sorcery, like, I don't know. It feels great to me. Sinew Sliver, nice at common. Fun fact, Sunlance was in one of the dual decks that I used to have. I haven't gotten that far yet. I'll get there in a second. Sidewinder Sliver. All creature slivers are flanked. Flanking seems like a really good aggressive mechanic. Slivers could be a thing. Sidewinder into Sinew Sliver. Like, even a 1/1 with flanking, it's going to hit them a decent amount of times. If it gives other creatures flanking, like this Absorb one, there's 3 common slivers in white. That could be a little thing that you do. Absorb 1 plus flanking. Like, imagine getting all 3 of these slivers into play at once. You go, like, turn 1, turn 2, play another couple creatures, and then play this. All of a sudden, your slivers are all +1/+1. Flanking means that when something blocks it, and it doesn't have flanking, the blocking creature gets -1/-1. I haven't seen a lot of it. I know what it does, but, like, if you don't know what the mechanic does, you just have to kind of read the card. A lot of the cards just have a lot of text. Oh, did not mean to do that. Temporal Isolation. Enchanted creature has shadow. Oh. Wow, that's really good. Jeez Louise, that's going to get on the top commons probably. Holy heck. So the slivers are nice. Oh, there's another common sliver. Oh, +0/+2. There's a whole sliver curve here. Wow. Wow, there's a lot of slivers. Things to keep in mind. Slivers. Slivers and I guess rebels. Though there haven't been a ton of rebel cards that we've seen. We've seen a couple of them, but they were all kind of up towards the top. Ivory Giant's I don't think it's very good. A 7 mana 3/4 is just way too small. Like, imagine if you're behind. Or like, I don't love it. Don't love it. Suspending 1 and then they get to see it coming forever. I don't know. Oh gosh. Temporal Isolation's gotta be up here. It probably is better than Bound in Silence. Bound in Silence can't attack or block. It can still activate its abilities. I guess this thing can too. It's not good against activated abilities, so Sunlance might still be better. Sunlance also permanently kills. Hi, Shindigman MTG. Yeah, Sliver Mirror Match is kind of wild. I love that the way it works. It's so funny. It's cool that Tribal is a little bit supported at common. Temporal Isolation. Let's put that above Bound in Silence. And then things to keep in mind as I'm reading are enchantment removal, because we've already, like, anti-enchantment. Enchantment removal is hard to say. I want to say things like Wreck Sage, things that kill enchantments. I'll just say that, I guess. Because there's already 2 really good white enchantments, and if there's a lot of things that kill enchantments that are relatively easy to play, we can lower that estimation. There's also a lot of good 2-drops in white. It looks like Sinew's Liver, good 2-drop. Things to keep in mind. White has good 2-drops. That's always something you want to notice. You're like, wow, okay, I'm looking at this set. All of white's 2-drops are solid. There's a Rebel. There's a Rebel that's got like some extra Rebel with 2-drop with upside, 2-drop with upside. This card's like replaceable, but sometimes you'll want it, and it's a Rebel. Hi, Yerky. I'm so glad. And then like this is a 2-drop. It's not like terrible to play, and it's a Rebel. And then like down here, Sinew Sliver's a good 2-drop. White Mane Lion definitely can be a good card in the right deck. It's more of a build around though. Oh, that startled the heck out of me.
I was up.
Hey, Antonio. No, not today, Yerky. But yeah, White Mane Lion, I don't think can be a top common. So my basic top 3 commons right now are Sunlance, Temporal Isolation, and Bound in Silence. I will say that I could see one of these 2-drops passing Bound in Silence just because as removal becomes more plentiful. Like, it was funny because I said it early on in the thing when I was like, oh, Bound in Silence gets better because there's less replaceable versions of it. But with Temporal Isolation also at common, which is basically a very replaceable version of it, it's like they each get a little worse because you don't have to prioritize them as highly. So I could see Benalish Cavalry knocking off Bound in Silence if you're in a more aggressive deck. No, but the problem is a 2/2 flash, it has to return a creature you control to its own turn. I guess White Mane Lion destroys Temporal Isolation and Bound in Silence. So White Mane Lion. Definitely a card to keep in mind. See you later, Antonio. That's pretty interesting. So White Mane Lion could get a lot of utility against other white decks. I could also see a cool situation where you have like a couple of slivers in play and your opponent has a couple of slivers in play and you use White Mane Lion to bounce your own sliver. So I think this will probably be a main deckable card. Okay, looking at blue now. And one of the reasons why I like Benalish Cavalry more than Amaru Scout, I'll scroll back up so you can see them, is because this card is just good on its own. If you're playing an aggressive deck, it's a 2/2 that can't be blocked by other 2/2s, which is inherently good, and it trades for their 3-drops. Things like that. Amaru Scout, you need some other work for it to be good, and it gets punished by X1 hosers. But it can be also very high upside. So it also depends more on your draft. So like if you start a draft off and you're like, oh, which one do I pick? If you take the Rebel Scout, the Amaru Scout, it's got some high upside, but you have to take other Rebels then. Whereas with the Benalish Cavalry, you can just put it in any deck and you don't have to influence your future picks, because then later you might have to like, oh, I have to guess I should take Bound in Silence over something else. It just makes your other picks tougher, which maybe sometimes isn't what you want, though it is powerful. Okay. I guess this card also wrecks the enchantment removal, though I'm not sure how playable this is on its own. Okay. Bewilder. Target creature gets -3/-0, draw a card. So it's like worse Befuddle. Yeah, that's mediocre. Nothing too special. Don't think it's a high priority, or like it's a card you'll sometimes play, but you don't really want to. Trickster, tap or untap, that could be kind of annoying, but generally still not good. Just very expensive. And like it's a 3-mana 2/2 more if it's a morph, and then you're turning it face up for very marginal upside. Well, you might have some other stuff in the game. Like, it's not really a 2-drop. You don't really count it on curve, but you can do other cool things with it. You can get retrigger and enters the battlefield trigger. I don't know. I feel like it should be will be main deckable if you put some work into it. Crook Claw Transmuter. Flash flying, switch target creature's power and toughness until end of turn. So it's a 4-mana 3/1. That's not good. Even with flying, 4-mana 3/1 flyer is generally not good, like Carrion Feeder. But then the ability, switching toughness and power, so you can immediately kill any 0-powered creature. You can also change a 3/2 to a 2/3 or a 2/3 to a 3/2. It combos with Bewilder to kill things. Not sure what I think about this. I'm not a huge fan. It feels like it's like in theory you're like, oh, I'm gonna do all these sick things, but like if your 3/3 is attacking into their 3/3, it doesn't do anything. It only really works against anti-symmetrical creatures, but there's not a huge fan. I don't think a 4-mana 3/1 flyer is not really a great body. It just gets hit by a lot of every removal spell kills it because like pings, incremental pings. I'm pretty sure there's like a pyromancer in the set that can ping things. Okay. Dreamstalker. 2-mana 1/5. That's just not good. You can't play this on turn 2 a lot of the time. 1/5 doesn't pressure anything. I guess this also hoses enchantments a little bit. Jeez, maybe white blue's like enters the battlefield deck. I don't know. Jeez. That's tough. It's a weird card. I don't love it. But if you... Yeah. I don't love 2-drops that you can't play on turn 2 because then you're spending 2 mana and not really... Like, spending 2 mana on your 4th turn is less... Like, for a 2-drop on your 4th turn is oftentimes worse than just being able to cast your 2-drop, but... Has some upside. Dreamstalker. Self-bounce in white-blue, eh? Dreamscape Artist. This is the one that I've seen before. It's really weird. Momentary Blink. I don't know how many enters the battlefield things are for Momentary Blink, but I don't love it, generally. It's definitely good against removal sometimes. But Dreamscape Artist I don't like either. It's so much setup cost, and it's a 2-mana 1/1. Generally, when I'm evaluating cards, things that are bad on their own are not things I love, or things that require a lot of setup to be good. Like, it does ramp you a ton. It gets you like 6 mana by turn 5 or something, or like 7. You can get 7 mana by turn 7 or something like that. No, you sacrifice a land. It does put them on the battlefield untapped. Yeah, this card's just bad. It's too much effort, I think. Cards that are too much effort, you've seen me kind of generally be down on it. As you can see, so far there's not a card that compares to any of these top 5 white commons at all. I'll just underline to keep things organized. Drift Ildal. Wow, this card is really bad. It looks like it could have potential, but having to pay 1 every turn is so much. It's like a 1-drop that you have to pay like 6 mana for over the course of the game. Yikes. Errant Ephemeron. Flying. Suspend 4. Huh. I kind of like Errant Ephemeron. Which is funny to say because I've been pretty down on a lot of these suspend cards, but being on turn 2, you play this. I guess it doesn't come down until turn 6. Never mind. It's tough because on turn 7, you can just play it. If you play this on turn 2 exactly, then you're getting it by turn 6. But a 4/4 flyer is huge, and it has haste when it comes down. I'm going to put it on the list. Blue's comments have looked bad so far, so we can push it down if we need to, but generally, I don't love putting such expensive or, again, situational cards. It doesn't go in every deck. These are the sorts of cards, like, some decks aren't going to want this sort of card. Oh my gosh, I did not mean to click that. But, like, when you're evaluating a top common, you want a card that can go in any deck. Sunlance is good in control or aggro. Temporal Isolation is good in control or aggro. Bounded Silence is good in control or aggro. And then Cavalry is only really good in aggro, but white kind of tends to lean aggro. So I like it kind of up there as well. But this card, you don't really want it in your, if you're like playing a more aggressive blue deck, though a lot of blue decks aren't aggressive. But the problem is control decks even struggle with this card too sometimes because they play it early and then they just die before it comes down because turn 6 is a long time. It's a good aggro finisher, but you have to take turn 2 off to play it or play it 7 mana. I'm probably not going to end up putting it. I can't imagine putting Errant Ephemeron on my top blue commons list. If it is, then blue's commons are significantly weaker than white's, at least right off the bat. Like, there's so many cards that punish it, and we've already seen, like, Temporal Isolation, Bounding Silence. White already has 2 answers, and white isn't really a color for removal. Okay, Erratic Mutation. Oh my god. Blue is looking really bad so far. Pauper Cube's a different format. We'll have to see. I'm a pseudonym. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Erratic Mutation's unplayable. Fathom Seer. It looks like it would be good, but then you remember that you return 2 islands to your hand, and you're paying a 3 mana for this and bouncing 2 of your lands to get a Divination and a 1/3, and like playing it on turn 2 is not good. So I don't think Fathom Seer is that good either. 4C, Scry 4, draw 2. There's a card. That is some Tamiyo's Epiphany situations. 4C is potentially decent. Finally, a card. I could see that being a common that's actually pretty good. Scry 4 is a lot of scrying. You can find, like, 6 cards deep is so many. I don't know if it would break the top blue commons. Paying 4 mana at sorcery speed is rough. But Tammy's Epiphany was really good. That's one of the ways you can evaluate cards is, let's just look, Tamiyo's Epiphany is the exact same card. Scry 4, draw 2, and this was a really good common in War of the Spark. Now, this card was printed first, but, you know, 4C is probably going to be up there. The effect is just really good. If you have a good card in your deck, you can find it. Yeah, the red pinger, if there's a red pinger at common, I don't know if it's a common or uncommon. I think I saw the artwork for it, but I don't know whether they're common or uncommon. It's going to be really good. 2 mana, 2/1 flyer becomes the target of a spell or ability, sacrifice it. It's going to be dependent on the number of abilities, but Gossamer Phantasm has potential to be really good. Because I feel like I've seen some abilities that target, but not a ton. Yeah, like Coral Trickster takes it out, Bewilder takes it out. Crookclaw Transmuter takes it out. Any spell or ability. Oh my gosh. Tap target creature. That kills it. There are a lot of things that kill the Gossamer thing. Gossamer is indeed thin. I think it's going to be a card you play in your aggressive decks. But it is very vulnerable. Yeah, but the thing is you can just target it with something silly. Like, it makes way more it makes combat tricks into removal spells. It just dies to, like, and then, again, this is a classic upside-downside situation. We looked at it earlier. But for cards in a set, my immediate inclination is to look at the ceiling and the floor. The ceiling is that on turn 2, I can maybe hit them 4 or 5 times with this thing. The floor is that my opponent, is that I draw this in the mid-game or something. My opponent has like some random tapper card that taps 2 toughness creatures, and I just can't play my card, which is really rough. I don't know. I don't think I can put this onto the list. It does look cool, though. I like the design. I like this sort of design. It's kind of like a tricky thing. Infiltrator Core. Here we go. 5 mana, 3/1. Suspend 2. So you played on turn 2. You get it on turn 4. Hitting is a 3/1. I just don't like a 5 mana 3/1. I mean, sure, it can't be blocked, but it can't block either. Ugh. I'm not loving blue's commons so far. Ooh, Looter Core. That's going to be on the list probably. Looter Core. I'm going to put that above 4C. It'd be really funny if there was like a shadow meta where there's just multiple cards with shadows so they don't perform as well. I'm going to put that above 4C because it's cheap. But looting is really powerful and limited. Looter Core even chips in for a damage while it does it. Logic Knot isn't bad either. I don't think it's going to be a top common, though. Some blue decks won't want this effect. It's hard to hold up the mana sometimes, and sometimes you can't delve away enough cards. Like, sometimes you just have a surprisingly few cards in your graveyard, so it's like the mid-game, your opponent has, like, tries to cast their card that you want to kill to stop, like, their removal spell, and you just have, like, 3 cards in your graveyard, and so you have to spend, like, 6 mana to counter it, which is not horrible, but it makes Logic Knot a lot worse. Piracy Charm. Wow, that's a sweet card. Choose one. They either and it's an instant, so you can hit them on their upkeep and make them discard. That's kind of wacky. Piracy Charm. You can either make them discard, you can shrink something small, or like end the game if they have an island. Probably not a top common, but pretty sweet. When it leaves the battlefield, enchanted permanent's controller sacrifices it. Oh my gosh, it's a removal spell in 3 turns. That's horrible. Oh my gosh. 3/3, a 2/2 with flying, or a 1/6. All of those are understated, but having the choice can be nice, but I still think it's bad. I'm just going to say blue's commons are looking a lot worse than what we saw in white. Maybe they're going to clean it up, their act here. It's a sweet design, gotta be said. Oh, this is the payoff. Chat pointing it out. This is the payoff for your, like, your lions and your other flickering card, your, like, 2 mana 1/5. Good observation. I usually don't look for combos right off the bat. Like, when I'm first looking through cards, I don't usually look for combos. But that's a nice point. Good point, chat. That's kind of sweet. Yikes. So you don't even want it to go away. You just want to keep bouncing it. As a builder, and I'm not going to put it as a top common because you kind of want top commons to be good in every deck, but that's still sweet. So Sarcomite Mirror can gain flying if you pay mana or sack it to draw a card. This is a 3-mana 2/1 though. Blue is looking really weak though overall. Oh, Spiketail Drakeling's great. That is real good. I like Spiketail Drakeling a lot. Probably better than the core. It's hard to cast, but I might be biased here, but it feels really nice to have this in play. It protects your creatures from expensive removal. It's like, it's kind of like they have to kill it first if they do have removal a lot of the time, and it just makes things awkward for them. I don't know. I'm going to put that above Looteriel Core for now, though maybe Looteriel Core is better. I'll sort them at the end. Snapback. Well, that's kind of neat. Return a creature to its owner's hand, and you can cast it for free. That's cool. Oh my gosh, Slipstream Serpent. What a weird design. Think Twice. Weird card draw. Tolarian Sentinel. Can bounce your own permanents for the synergy with Reality Asset, but you have to discard a card. That's pretty bad. Oh my gosh, Veiling Oddity. What's this? Creatures can't be blocked this turn. Suspend 4? Are you kidding me? Jeez Louise, blue's commons suck. Oh my gosh, Piracy Charm is a legit consideration for a top blue common. Yikes. Spiketail Drakeling's probably worse than the core because 2-drops are so important. And if you have core, they have to kill it or you just kind of win the game over the course of a few turns. I think I'm going to start with that order. Blue looks significantly worse than white. Like, what is it? This is just hugely imbalanced. Sentinel plus Acid. Yeah, but they do keep discarding a card, so you're killing something, but they're spending 4 mana a turn to kill something, which is pretty nice, but yikes. Wow. Can an Acid target lands? Oh my gosh, you can. Jeez Louise. Just like all of the stuff that I was talking about for white does not apply to blue. Like, Spiketail Drakeling is not that good of a card. Like, it's hard because it's hard to cast. If it was 2 in a blue, it would be much better. And it's like a good card, 3 mana 2/2 that like makes their curve awkward. But like, if you're looking at the white cards, like Amaru Scout might be better than Spiketail Drakeling just because it's a 2-drop with super good upside. 4C is not a great like you can't have too many of this card in your deck. Like, is Gossamer Phantasm better? I don't know. But I'm not, I don't love it if Gossamer Phantasm is like the hope that you, in your dreams. Think Twice certainly isn't a great card. 5 mana to draw 2, even if it's split up, isn't that great? Just looking at these cards, it's like, oh my gosh, what is happening? Piracy Charm is legitimately in contention. Like, Piracy Charm might be number 4 on this list. Because it can give a creature -1, and there's a lot of X1s running around, it looks like. There's, like, a decent number. Actually, I scrolled back. I'm going to put Errant Ephemeron on this list, probably, because, geez Louise, are these cards looking tough. Oh my gosh, Errant Ephemeron, come back. As I was saying, if Errant Ephemeron gets on this list, things are looking grim, but oh my gosh, it might just have to. Luteral Core is good. I think Errant Ephemeron is probably okay. The problem is it's just such a late game card, but if the format is slow, this card gets a lot better too, because this card rumbles in the late game. I'm just worried about going as the white deck, because there's like 6 good white 2-drops. There's a Sliver Synergy deck, and then meanwhile, blue, does it even have a removal spell? Wow, Crookclaw Transmuter might be a lot better than it looked as well. Just because it does something, but still, like, dies to Piracy Charm. Oh my gosh. This is tough. It has Acid, Reality Acid. If Reality Acid is one of blue's top commons, like, maybe it is. Like, this is the sort of card where blue is bad enough that I could see it being like, wow, in order to build a blue deck, I just have to build a Reality Acid combo deck where you just use, like, I don't know, like Tolarian, your just whole plan is to assemble Tolarian Scholar Reality Acid in your blue decks, and so you just take this card super highly. Like, I'm not going to rate it like that right off the bat, but wow, maybe Errant Ephemeron. I feel like 4C is probably a little bit better than the first copy, because even your control decks want that. I don't know. Errant Ephemeron might just be going up the list. It might be shooting up. Again, these are only preliminary things. If I was doing a full guide, I would put a lot of thought into that. I might even like ask some folks what they thought, like other folks that make content or that I trust with their opinions a lot. But these are just like my first impressions. That's kind of the point. But this is kind of just how you can approach things, I guess. I'm just looking at the cards, and so far, that was a yikes. Errant Ephemeron being on the list makes me really worried for blue. Yeah, yikes. That was... Jeez Louise, that's tough. Does blue have any cards that I really need to keep in mind? I don't know. Not really. Yikes. Crookclaw Transmuter. Jeez Louise. Not only does blue just not have any removal, I guess blue just didn't really get removal back in the day. It just doesn't really have removal. It also just doesn't really have, like, good... I guess it has okay card draw. Or infinite some finishers, but yikes. That's a wild time. Wild ride indeed. Okay, so we're in black now. I'm probably just going to do the commons today. And then I'll just like do a draft of the set tomorrow, and we'll see how everything plays out, which is kind of fun. That's one of the things I thought would be cool about this video, is like you can see how the like expectations that I had going in are actually like formed, how I created these expectations and how things actually play out. Assassinate. Destroy tapped creature. Well, we've seen this card before in white, and it cost 2 mana, and it still wasn't that good. It was like, okay. So, Assassinate might be number 3. I don't know. It's a sorcery, too, which sucks. Ugh, this card's so much better if it's instant. I'm going to put it on the list, but I don't love it. Actually, I'm not going to put it on the list. I'm going to hope not. Yeah, I'm going to put it on the list and then hopefully just quickly take it off the list. Blight Speaker. Target player loses a life. Ooh, it's a rebel. Yeah, that's a card. I don't love it. Again, my criteria when a set first comes out, I do have some level of trust for what the designers are doing. But when you have a card that's not good at defense and requires you to have other rebels to be good, I don't love it. Because like for a top common, you want to be on Magic Online, Caleb. You want it to be something that you can do. You want to have cards like that are top commons that you can take early and know they're going to be good in your deck a lot of the time. And there's no guarantee with Blight Speaker because you have to be aggressive. You have to have other rebels. Okay, yeah. Corpulent Corpse. Wow, they really didn't stop the talking on that one. That's just a weird name. Okay, Suspend 5. Jeez Louise. These suspend numbers are so high. You get this card on turn on turn 6, and it's a 3/3, but it can't really be blocked. Or you can play 6 mana. I don't like it. These cards are just so inefficient. I'm not sure. Suspend is probably one of those mechanics. I haven't played with it, really. I think I played it like one time in like Iconic Masters Draft or something like that. But it's one of those mechanics that looks really bad, and then it's like actually okay. So I'm not like, it looks like the cards just look really bad. Like pretty much all of these suspend cards, I've been pretty like unhappy with them when I look at them. But they might just play out way better than they look or something. Let's look at this. As Shadow, as long as you have no cards in hand, the Shadow meta, not great. Again, Dark Withering, destroy target non-black creature. It's 6 mana and conditional. I guess we'll have to see how many discard effects are there, but not currently loving that. Vanishing. Any card with Vanishing is immediately just like a red flag for me. If I had no time counters on a create a 6/1 with Shroud. But a 6/1 can just be blocked by anything. Like, oh my gosh. If it just died into a 6/1, it'd be good. But oh my gosh, yeah. Don't love Deadly Grub. So far, white is looking so much better than these other cards. Feebleness, -2, -1. I hope that's not a top black common. Maybe the cards are just much worse, and so I need to like evaluate contextually or something. But like white's cards didn't look a whole lot worse. White's cards looked a lot better than the stuff they've been getting recently. So I'm just going to kind of hold stuff to that standard, maybe. I don't know. Death Spore Thallid. Condor's given us a little preview in the chat. I know YouTube folks can't see it, but he keeps mentioning cards that are on the next line that I'm about to get to, so I always get a little bit excited, and then I read the card and I'm a little bit let down. So he probably just has a more optimistic perspective on the cards or some. Let's see, Icarus Slick is the card he mentioned. Target creature gets -3. Never mind. That is sick. Never mind. Yep. Yeah, you're right. Oh my gosh, what? Oh my gosh, Icarus Slick is dope. Oh my gosh, I was like worried. Oh my gosh, geez Louise, that's so cool. It's got combo with itself. Oh my gosh, I'm glad that I skipped ahead to that one. Geez Louise, Condor, you came through for me there. Wow, nice. That's a card. I'll go back to these other cards, don't worry. But -3 for 3 mana at sorcery speed is like not great, but cycling is something you can do at instant speed, and you can madness it as instant speed as well. So you can madness it, and for 6 mana, give a creature -3/-3 at instant speed, and draw a card. So that's pretty sick. Nice. Icarus looks probably top or close to top. Deep Cavern Imp. So it's a flying haster for 3 mana, which is nice, but then you have to discard a card. I don't love it, even though there is some madness stuff like Dark Withering. Dark Withering could get much better if there's madness stuff, but again, I don't think it's a top common because you don't want to have your top commons be so contextual. Let's read this Thallid. Put a spore counter, remove 3 spore counters, create a 1/1. Okay, sacrifice a Saproling. It's just so slow. Blocks or becomes blocked, destroy that creature at the end of combat. It's 5 mana, but it has cheap madness. Tough. Turn target creature card from a graveyard to its owner's hand. That's a nice one. If you can madness it. So far, we haven't seen any discard outlets. The drafts come out tomorrow, Zeladonio, I'm pretty sure. Recording this on the... What's the date? The 17th. I think they come out on the 18th on MTGO. So far, Icarus looks looking good, and then some of these cards look decent if you can enable Madness, but I don't love having to enable Madness to make your cards good. Feebleness does not seem great to me, even though -2/-1 can often, like, incapacitate creatures. Mass of Ghouls. Wow, 5 mana, 5/3. Nice. Simple. Mind Stab. Target player discards 3, but they can see it coming, or you have to pay 6 for it. Again, like, geez Louise. 2 mana, 2/1, but if you have 4 or more creatures, you can return a creature card. It's so much harder to get 4 creatures in your graveyard than it looks. All I'll say about that. Wow, black gets a tapping creature. That's sick. Okay, yeah, I'm down. Wrathy Trapper, get into the pile. That is sick. One of the cool things about this set is it's like, it throws the color pie into the trash can for some of the cards. That's like one of the funny things. That's hilarious. Wrathy Trapper is super good. 1 mana and tap it to tap anything is super powerful. And even though it's a 2-drop, this card's going to perform better than you think it does a lot of the time. Oh, the combo with Assassinate, you can kill whatever you want. Oh my gosh. And the top card in their library, what? That is hilarious. Oh my gosh, that's such a hilarious design. You can look at their hand and their top card. Oh gosh. That's funny. Discard a card. Target creature gets +1/+0 and gains first strike. So you can like make combat hell for your opponent, but the downside is that if they have a pump spell, you discarded a card in addition to getting wrecked. Not a huge fan. Okay. Destroy target creature with toughness 3 or less and flashback. Sign me up. Strangling Soot. Maybe that's better than the Trapper. I guess I'm just going to kind of put them kind of tied right now. Tap Satrophage unless you pay 2 life. That's not great. That is not great at all. 2 mana 3/3, but then you have to pay a lot of life. Yikes. I don't love it. I don't love it. The X damage and you gain X for X number of swamps. That's hard to enable. If your deck is like 12 swamps, it gets pretty good. Madness is sweet. It was in Shadows of Ruinous Road and I liked it. Ooh, a discard outlet. It gains Shadow. The Shadow. I keep saying the Shadow meta, but it's so funny. Because Shadow basically, you always think of the creature's unblockable. But yeah, it's not. There's a couple, I think there might be a cycle of these, because remember in white, I guess we didn't see one in blue, but in white we saw the one that like flickers things. Strangling Soot's probably better than the Wrathy Trapper if you're in red, and worse than Wrathy Trapper if you're not in red. That's probably where I'd put it at the moment. Toughness 3 is like tough, but a lot of the creatures seem small. Discard outlet for the Shadow. Don't love it. Discard a card. Each other player loses 2 life. You gain life. Yikes. And it's 3 mana. Yikes. Oh my god. Why did they think you had to pay 3 life? I mean, pay 3 mana to do this. Like, geez Louise. Oh my gosh. Black, I don't think Assassinate is in the top commons, but it could be if Strangling Soot, like, because it can only kill small things, because this only does -3/-3, this does -3/-3, but Wrathy Trapper can take care of other things. Assassinate could be up there, because it seems like there's pretty low power level cards a lot of the time here. Wild. Wild. These cards are insane. Things to keep in mind. Madness in black is not well supported, at least from what I've seen so far. These are just preliminary notes. Yes, I mean in EDH where you have 3 opponents, like you can gain 8 life. Still be bad if it was free, yeah, probably. Though in the late game, when the board is stalled, it would actually have some relevance then. But yeah. And if like the fact that you have to pay 3 for this means it's not even great at enabling Madness, which is the Madness is like not well supported because Trespasser Ilvec is not a great card. Even if you're enabling Madness, it's still not that good. And this card's not good. The cards that cost extra mana and then you're oh my god. There's just so many. Black has a lot of suspend cards and Madness cards that suck even if you like enabling them is hard. Yeah, I'm probably not going to be looking at the uncommons today because I'm just enjoying looking at the commons and then I'll get to see the uncommons unfold when I play the cards. Ancient Grudge, probably not a main deckable card. Wow, so I will say, black looks better than blue, but so far neither of them looks better than white, just in terms of white's card quality, card power level, pretty much everything about white's cards was a lot better. Like, white had cards off of these top 5 that I just couldn't put because they weren't better than these, but like, there was cards in white that were way better than these ones and these ones. Ichor Slick seems dope though, but it is expensive. Wrathy Trapper seems pretty solid, even if it's a little bit expensive as well to use. You have to pay the black mana every turn to tap things, but it's a 1/2. It can chip in for damage sometimes. Soot seems cool in black-red specifically, but decent outside of that. And then Assassinate, probably up there as well a little bit. Jeez Louise. Wow. I think right now I like white and then far distant second black and then blue, but I wonder if there's going to be a color worse than blue. We've only seen like half of them. Okay. Ancient Grudge can't be a top common, really. Battering Sliver. Giving Sliver's Trample is not super relevant, and it's 6 mana. +2/+0 can be really scary, though. Bone Splitter Sliver. 4 mana, 4/2 on its own, and buffing all of your other creatures is pretty massive if you're in a red-white Slivers deck. Red has some pretty bad cards. Well, it's going to be a battle. Some of the uncommons are insane, though. Yeah, maybe Boros Slivers. Yep, could be a thing. Certainly seems scary. Bone Splitter Sliver works really well with those other ones. Imagine a card that's like, you go the flanking Sliver into a 2-drop Sliver that buffs it up, and then you play your Bone Splitter Sliver on turn 4, and you've got like a bunch of like, your opponent's creatures have a tough time blocking. So +3/+3. It's like a giant growth. Pretty nice. This is a good effect in red. Hey, big magic. Probably not a top common because you don't. It's not like removal or a good creature, but it's pretty nice. Wow, this is a common. Dead and Gone. 2 damage to a creature for 1 mana. Nice. It's shock. And it's got bounce. That's good. Dead and Gone. I like it. And a lot of the creatures are smaller in this set. Remember, you can't do both of these effects. It's not a splice card, but I feel like you're mostly going to be doing dead. Sometimes bouncing things is nice. So it's a 4 mana 3/3 that gets a refund, but by that point, you've probably already cast your 3-drop. Oh my gosh. Empty the Warrens is a common. Grape Shot is a common. Is Grape Shot going to be a top red common? Oh my gosh. Coal Stoker into Coal Stoker. Like on turn 6, you go Coal Stoker, Coal Stoker, Coal Stoker. Each time you lose 1 mana. And then you empty the Warrens and get 8 goblins. We found the combo. Gaithan Raiders is a sleeper. Oh, you're foreshadowing the cards again? Perfect, perfect. Gets +2/+2 as long as you have no cards in hand. Discard a card to flip it up as a 3/3. So I guess that's a Madness Enabler. Sleeper. Condor describes it as a sleeper at least. I'm not so sure. 5 mana for a 3/3 is tough. Getting 0 cards in hand, man, is like, you don't really want to have 0 cards in hand. Man, Grape Shot might be decent. I could see it obliterating like an entire board state from Blue's cards. Probably not going to put that as a top common yet, but you generally would just combo this with one other thing, and being able to deal like 1 damage to 2 different things is kind of nice. So it's like a, I kind of view it as like a Chandra's Pyrohelix type card. Grinning Ignis. That's funny. There is like a Storm deck or something. That's pretty funny. 3-drops again, not really in contention for being a top card. Each Sliver card in each player's hand has Sliver cycling. Wow, that's kind of funny. Not great, but funny. Suspend 4 for a 4/1 first strike. 5 mana 4/1 first strike is actually really nice. Raiders is 3 mana, not 5. If you morph it, I guess. Good point. Killed in Halberdier. 4/1 first strike is no joke. Like, even paying 5 mana for that's not that bad. And then you can suspend it sometimes if you really need to. Like, first strike is a really busted mechanic. I could see that being pretty good. Oh my gosh, Mog War Marshal. It's like a Dragon Fodder plus. Dies to Pinger. We haven't seen any real pingers here. We've seen some deal ones like the Grape Shot. Grape Shot could be really good, potentially. Needlepeak Spider, 4 mana, 4/2 reach. Nice. Orcish Cannonade. 2 damage to any target, 3 damage to you, draw a card. Reckless Worm is very good if you can enable it. I think there was a, in Ultimate Masters, the Graveyard/Madness theme decks, Reckless Worm could be real good. But it's hard to enable. Like, we haven't seen great discard outlets. But, and especially free ones. Like, there's the one that we've seen there. I think we maybe saw one other one. This is a free one. But, like, the games where you don't draw your Reckless Worm. 5 mana 4/4 trample is also not just bad. Pinger was upshifted to uncommon. I can see why. Did you see all of Blue's cards? They just get decimated. Okay. Yeah, Orcish Cannonade. I don't think it can be a top common. Dealing 2 damage and drawing a card is nice, but 3 damage to yourself and being double red means you can't really play it in multiples very often. Wow. No ready, no aim, just fire. That's a funny flavor text. Ooh, Rift Bolt. That'll be up there. Rift Bolt, probably better than Dead and Gone. It's like a open fire that has to be sorcery that you can cast for cheaper sometimes. And 3 damage is a decent upgrade over 1. Any target scry 3, then reveal the top card, deals damage. Why would... What? And this is 5 mana? It's just like the white one. Again, same weaknesses that we already talked about. Remove a time counter. Oh, that could be really good in the right deck. Real good in the right deck. There's some good stuff. Simian Spirit Guide's funny. You're never really playing lists that get the extra mana. Ooh. Sting Scourger is nice. Can't be blocked except by artifact creature and red creature. This is like a card that we saw in white. White also had a card like this, but it's often better in red because red is more aggressive. What's Arc Blade? Sting Scourger could be a top red common. Because you can play it and then they attack you when you trade it off, or you just pay the echo cost in the late game. And returning their creature is pretty nice. 2-headed Sliver. All slivers have menace, but it's a 1/1. Yikes. Red is a little bit shallow, but Mog War Marshal's a fine 2-drop. Halberdier is fine. Grape Shot. Grape Shot seems pretty decent if you can combo with stuff. Bone Splitter, Sliver, Brute Force could just be massive in this set. Oh, Magistatorin. Okay, yeah. I think I kind of get a sense of it. There's some Storm cards, which is really funny. You'll love to see it. Okay, so there's red. Red does look much better than black and blue, I'd say. It's got better support for a lot of its cards. Its cards don't need as much work. Like Reckless Worm is a fine card to just cast from your hand. Halberdier is like actually reasonable to cast, whereas some of the other suspend cards are just heinous. And then it's got Rift Bolt, Grape Shot, Dead and Gone. Dead and Gone seems really sweet to play with. Green. So this is the last color. Hopefully it's been interesting. It's kind of turned into like almost like a type of set review type thing, but it's a little bit different because with a set review I've done the work beforehand, and this is more of a like kind of looking at the cards, my first impressions, how I kind of look at them. So hopefully that's a different vibe than like a set review thing where I've put some extra thought into it beforehand. And yet remember that if you do enjoy this sort of video, you can let me know in the comments. I do appreciate your feedback, and interested to hear your thoughts, your disagreements, because everyone's first takes are going to be different a lot of the time. Or not everyone's, but a lot of the time everyone is going to have a different first take on the cards and things like that. But let's get through some of these green cards, shall we? Citadel Woodreader. So far, white is looking best, followed by red. So white-red aggro could be a good spot. And white-red looks like it has synergy as well because of cards like Bone Splitter, Sliver, Brute Force being good in that sort of deck. I'm liking the look of white-red. So the 3-mana 1/4 kicker, enters battlefield for his kick, draw 2 cards. Well, I'm going to put that on the list. Citadel. That seems like a good card. Probably better than every card blue has access to, which is kind of funny. Like, might be better than everything except Infiltrator Core or something. I don't even know. Gosh, blue looks like such a pile. I'm sure I'm going to get destroyed by a blue deck, but like, it's going to be really funny. Seems pretty nice. That's the point, Adam, is the cards are color shifted. He said Citadel seems like a blue card. It's like they're color shifted, so it's like this would normally be a blue card, but they made it green because it's interesting. 5/5 with suspend 5. But you can pay 1 mana for it. I guess spending 1 mana is kind of like just good for a lot of these suspend cards. Like spending 1 mana or 2 mana, you do have to wait a lot of time. And as we all know from our economics class, is that the value of something in the future is a lot less than the value of something in the present. because of if you were given that, for example, if you have $1 in the future compared to $1 in the present, you could invest that $1 in the present and get interest on it. So therefore, you must discount the future value of something. But that's a lot of economics talk, as I'm sure we're all economists here. We all know all of these things. I would hate to assume that folks don't know economics, but if you don't know economics, that's kind of how you evaluate future shifted things. If your friend said, "I'll give you $1 today or $1 in a year," you'd rather have the dollar today. But I guess with some of these suspend cards, spending 1 mana for a 5/5 is a great deal, but then you have to wait 5 turns, and so it's kind of like on turn 6, what else are you spending your mana on? I guess you just get these massive turn 6s. The big downside that I've been trying to temper my expectations with these suspend cards is if you draw it on like the 3rd turn of the game, where you're in this awkward spot where if you suspend it, it's not coming down until turn 8, but then you have to like cast it by turn, like, but then on turn 6, if you cast it, it's a 5/5 and you're not that happy with it. So it's like only good on the exact opening hand. It's tough. Your opponent can see the suspend cards. I guess I might be used to faster sets, because if the set's slow, being able to have like these massive turns where you get like Dirkwood Bailoff into play and remove their creature or something like that could be really good. Yeah, I guess it mostly depends on how fast the games are. It's not like Foretell, because Foretell you can cast them whenever. But I've been pretty down on a lot of these suspend cards, and I'm probably going to come up on them, but just like my initial inclination is that they're very slow, and I feel like there are going to be decks that just destroy you while you're waiting for your card to come off. And if you don't have it in your opening hand, it gets really awkward. People that are in the chat saying that they liked the suspend cards when they played back in the day. Edge of Autumn, not really a card that I love. Actually, I was thinking of only the cycling part. It's actually a fine card to have in your opening hand. It's probably decent. I probably wouldn't put it as a top common because it's like some ramp, I guess. And then it can cycle to draw a card. Kind of neat. Gemhide Sliver. I'm going to be interested to see how these suspend cards play out. I'm definitely going to experiment with them, of course. So you can either get a basic land, return a creature from your graveyard to your hand, or target creature gains flying. That's bizarre. Gemhide Sliver, I'll add 1 mana of any color. That's a great card. Like, even on its own, it's like a Caryatid. Edge of Autumn could be up there. I'll have to consider it. Gemhide's probably better than the Wood Readers, because it just leads to some nice starts. Giant Dusk Wasp. Suspend 4, 3/3 flyer. Again, I'm not like a huge fan of that, but it's probably better than I think it is. Greenseeker. Nope, don't like it. The fact that you have to discard a card and pay a mana and have a 1/1 that isn't doing much is not great. Ooh, Kicker and Convoke. You love to see it. That's a fun little combo. And just Battlefield with 4 counters on it. What? So it's like an 8 mana 7/7, but you can convoke it. Kavu Primarch. Hello. Hello, Kavu Primarch. I'm gonna put that up there. I think that could be good. Greenseeker is bad. Oh yeah, definitely. Kavu Primarch seems incredible too. Like if you have 3 other creatures in play, you have like, it's like for 8 mana, you get a 7/7 or something. But you pay 4. Yeah, but you're not going to be playing this for like free. If you have 8 creatures in play, you'll probably have 4 mana. And then you get like a 7/7. I don't know. Nantuko Shaman. So if you suspend it for 1, you draw a card. It's a 4 mana 3/2 draw a card. Nantuko Shaman seems pretty neat. 4 mana 3/2. It's like a suspended version of Jiraga Visionary. Like green looks so much better than blue and black do. It's like criminally better. Like, we're not even halfway through. Or maybe we are halfway through the green. No, I don't even think we're halfway through when we've already seen, like, a bunch of cards that are significantly better than everything that black has to offer in this, that blue has to offer in this. I don't know. Nantuko Shaman. If you control no tap lands, draw a card, which basically means it has to come in off suspend, but it only has to spend 1. So you pay 4 mana, you get it the next turn, it can attack. I'll put Nantuko Shaman here. Probably better than the Wood Readers, because this is like 6 mana to draw 2 cards. It's like a Dragon Visionary. Penumbra Spider. 4 mana 2/4 dies into a 2/4. That's pretty good too. Yikes. Maybe the Primarch is going down in value. Maybe the Primarch is worse than Penumbra Spider, because that seems really irritating to deal with. 4 mana for 2/4 spiders, essentially, unless they like aura removal it. Jeez Louise. Maybe I'll just put it above the Nantuko Shaman. And it's also just a 3 mana 3/2 if you need that. Penumbra Spider. Green is looking like even better than white. It just has all this value and then like stuff to deal with the white aggro. All slivers have haste. And it's a 4 mana 2/2. Don't love it. Search for Tomorrow. Wow, that's a good card. Nice little fixing there. The card comes in untapped. So it's like a rampant growth. Jeez Louise. What the heck? It is a lot worse than Jiraga Visionary, I Am Pseudonym. But it's, I put it almost on, I've been knocking it down the list a little bit. Jiraga Visionary was good though, and the set is lower power level, and you can cast this for 3 mana, which is relevant. Like, ideally you'd be suspending this, but if you're getting beaten down, being able to play a 3 mana 3/2 is pretty important. Yeah, exactly, Condor. I'm realizing that I probably should have put the chat on the screen somewhere, but I like this setup. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Search for Tomorrow is really good, but not every deck wants it, so it's probably not a top common, but it's pretty great. Like that and Edge of Autumn, and like these are both common, so green's gonna have a lot of searching for lands. Spinner and Sliver, they all have reach, and it's a 2-drop. 2-drop Sliver is just important. So I think Naya colors are the Sliver colors, and so like probably white green and green red, and they probably all have viable aggro strategies, but I assume that white red and green white are the most aggro. Oh, Sporloth Ancient. Remove 2 spore counters, create a 1/1. So every 2 turns you get a Sporloth thing. Oh, and it makes all of your other Thalids have to only have 2 spore counters. That's sick. You'll love to see it. Strength in numbers. That's tough. Gaining Trample is great, though. So if you have a lot of creatures, that could be good. Something to be afraid of. I feel like that could gonna kill me. Like, gain like +6/+6. Wow, these cards are awesome. Green is looking better than white. Green is looking like awesome. Oh my gosh, green is going to be so sick, because you're going to be able to play everything you want, because you have Search for Tomorrow and Edge of Autumn at common and Gemhide Sliver, and then you're just going to be playing like 7/7s, and everyone else is going to be playing their 3 mana 2/2s. Germinator, Spore Counter, remove 3 to get a 1/1, but with this guy you only have to remove 2. And you can give a creature +1/+1. Oh my gosh. That's terrifying. That's such a tough onboard trick. Shell Dweller. Spore Counter. Remove 3 to create a 1/1. And it's defensive. That could actually be really good. Thrill the Hunt +1/+2, and you can flash it back. That's nice. Thornweld Archer. Jesus. That's really nice. 2/1 Death Touch Reach. Wow, reading through these cards, green is just overpowered. Poisonous 1, that's funny. Mostly just a 1-drop Sliver. Add 1 mana of any color, and it can't attack or block. Green gets Pacifism? Like, I don't think it's a great card, but you can certainly play this as a pacifism. Flying Haste. Wow, that's kind of funny. Oh my gosh. Green has some sweet cards. Maybe Penumbra Spider's better than Primarch because it helps you survive, but I feel like I'm going to lose a lot of games to a Primarch. There's not great removal for it. Okay, colorless stuff. Chromatic Star, fantastic. Interesting artwork. This looks kind of like something that you'd see at the beginning of like a movie, where they're like showing the like production company or something like Paramount Picture. What's the one? What's the one with the mountain? It is Paramount. Mount. But like it's like the mount thing, and then it just like shows this star and the rainbow shoots through it. Like, yeah, pretty good card for fixing though. Time Bug. Oh my gosh, the Time Bug seems really good. Some of these suspend cards get so good if you're just like casting your Time Bug and then just getting them a turn earlier. Prismatic Lens is also good for fixing. Nice. And then there's a Terramorphic Expanse, which is a nice land. Wow. Going through all of the commons has me really excited to draft this set, especially green and white. Though green and white are kind of on opposite ends of the spectrum, I guess we can look through some of these notes that we have. Did we keep in mind any rebels that we saw? Green doesn't really have rebels. Black has a couple of rebels, I guess. So, like, there was some ways to punish enchantments, but, like, not like a Reclamation Sage type thing. The Thalids thing is going to be interesting to see how that does, too. Because you're going to want to have some payoffs for going wide so they don't just get blanked by a 1-2 or something. But I'm kind of liking this list. I will say Amru Scout gets a lot worse in a world where Thalids are good, because then it doesn't attack as well. Yeah, I agree. They also have some sliver synergy because there's some slivers in both colors, and the Thalid go wide stuff is kind of good with some of the white creatures. Blue looks horrendous, though. If the suspend stuff is better than it looks, Errant Ephemeron could definitely be going up this list. I'm hesitant, but these other cards are so bad that I'm tempted to just move it up. I'll go back to show everyone what Errant Ephemeron is, in case you don't have the perfect memory of a individual like me. Oh, people in the chat that played back then are saying that it's first pick material. I guess a 4/4 is big. I guess I didn't keep track exactly of how the removal spells interact. I'm just going to move Errant Ephemeron up. I am trusting of other individuals, and I'm also trying to think of removal spells that kill it, and I'm failing to do so. White has a couple that kill it, but even Sunlance doesn't kill it. Ichor Slick doesn't kill it. Strangling Soot doesn't kill it. Riftbolt doesn't kill it. Dead and Gone doesn't kill it. Green does green have removal in this set? I don't remember it having removal. Yeah, I forget, did green have removal spells? Yeah, I was literally thinking that exact same thing, Pseudonym. Does green have a way to kill things? Probably not. I guess that's a weakness of green, but then you can just splash whatever the heck you want to kill things. I guess Utopia Vow is a kill spell. Fathom Seer was good. I guess I'm just used to sets being faster, where Fathom Seer seems like not good because it's just so slow. It's actually cool to be able to talk to people that actually played the OG set when it was out. The thing that I'm worried about is that you play this on turn 3 and then you flip it up, and I guess it's probably decent as like a draw 2. But like, it's tough. Bouncing Land seems really tough. Remember when green didn't have 3 removal spells each set? Blue seems like a good support color. Blue doesn't add anything. I'm just looking at the commons, though. There's probably some good uncommons in all of these colors. Maybe I should put Fathom Seer on this list. It's probably worse than the core. People are saying this card's first pickable, so I'll trust them for now a little bit. Big Morphin Madness payoffs are at uncommon and rare. Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, it can help you like be used to generate mana almost. This card seems tough. I don't think it's going to end up being that good, but it's interesting at least. I'll put Fathom Seer here. Blue's getting a lot better if Ephemeron and Fathom Seer are good cards. I'm glad we could talk to chat. It could also just be people that have never played the set, but they give a great advice anyway. I'm a little bit higher on blue. Black is still looking a little bit rough, but it's got some decent stuff. Red's looking okay, but green and white looking pretty strong as well. So I like the way those look. I also, when I'm looking through sets, the next step after looking through all the cards, kind of keeping some notes. What are some of the things I asked myself to think about? Cards to keep in mind. Mana Tithe, that's something to play around. Slivers, Rebels. There were a lot of slivers, less so on the Rebels. Things that kill enchantments. There's not just like incremental stuff. There's stuff that self-bounce. And then there's like white has good 2-drops. Madness in black is not super well supported. Yeah, Suspend is probably better than I was giving it credit for. But like cards like this, I just can't imagine being good. Like, yikes! A lot of it is modern day limited sets are much more punishing than sets were. I hate to say back in the day, but they're much more punishing now because there's a lot more snowbally cards or cards that, like, it's easier to curve out a lot of the time. And so when the cards are slow or they entail not coming into play for like 5 turns or something like that, it makes me worried. Though being able to cast it, but like I guess this has Suspend 4, so you play it on turn 2, it comes down on turn 6, which is not as bad as some of these other ones. But like there's that one in black that's like Suspend 5 and it's a 3/3. And so if you're getting beaten down, then you're just going to get wrecked. But I guess a lot of these cards are just smaller. Well, if they're 1/3s. It's going to be an interesting set to play for sure. I'm really excited to try it out. Maybe 6 mana to kill something is just like good enough in the set. Probably the 5th best black card. Like Dark Withering. I don't know. But it's going to be interesting to see how things go. Grave Scrabbler might be much better than it seems. I'm kind of excited to play with Icarus Slick, not going to lie. Suspend and then use mana to control the game. That seems like a decent strategy, yeah. And then you just win with the Haymakers. It's going to be a fun set to play. What did the people that played back in the day think of Crookclaw Transmuter? Is this card better than I'm giving it credit for? Someone in chat said that other people were saying it was good, but I didn't think it looked particularly great. I just figured if there are people that have drafted these cards before, might as well see what they think. People say they think it was good. Yeah, I guess I probably have a inflated opinion of what cards should do. But it's going to be interesting to see how all of these thoughts pan out, for sure. And I'm really excited. I think green looks really good. White looks really good. Blue recently got a step up, but I still think it's probably behind red, and then blue, and then black probably in last. Black doesn't seem like super powerful, but it has some good removal. It's going to be interesting to see how things do. I'm not going to be looking at the uncommons or anything because I've already made this quite a long stretch of looking at the cards, analyzing them, just talking about things. And it seems like it's going to be a fun set to play. I'm really excited for it. It's always fun to like get a blast from the past type thing. And I'm excited to see how these kind of predictions pan out. And if you watch my draft video for the set, or I'm probably going to do multiple, hopefully, you can see how these predictions pan out in the videos. Let me know if you disagreed with any of them. Remember that if you do enjoy this sort of content, you can hit that thumbs up button, and you can subscribe to the channel to get more of it. You can also check out the Patreon to support my content directly, patreon.com/NicolaiBolas. And then if you did make it all the way to the end of this video, in the comments section down below, leave hashtag journey through the comments to let me know you made it all the way to the end of the video, because it was just a bit of a journey. I don't know, I had a fun time doing it. It was pretty relaxed, pretty chill, and I had a lot of fun doing it. So let me know if you want me to see me do this sort of thing for other sets. I figured this would be a good one to do it for because with the big sets, it's nice to have like the analysis, have everything be like, oh, this is how this card is. But with this sort of old set, some people have seen these cards in action before, so they might have some more experience with them than I do. But being able to look at them with a fresh perspective and show like kind of how I think through the cards, how I determine these top commons lists, I figured it would be a really interesting like kind of thing to show off. And maybe people would find it helpful for developing their own patterns of thinking out the cards. But yeah, that is going to do it for this video. I do hope you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you next time.